We are joined by former Congresswoman from Hawaii, Tulsi Gabbard, who I know you all know, and you've seen her on a lot of our content before. Last year was in our documentary series, Revenge of the Taliban, that I hosted, and it has been about a year since then, and, Dad, it hasn't slowed down.
No, it sure hasn't, and I am thrilled to have Tulsi back on with us. And Tulsi, I've known you for a long time. I knew you in Congress. I knew you before Congress and your activities and your family's work in Hawaii. But I got to start with what is, to me, mind-numbing, that we now have learned that the judge that issued the search warrant, signed the search warrant at the former president's home, recused himself from a civil matter involving a lawsuit with Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton because, as he acknowledged, this came out on his own motion, that he was not capable of being impartial.
6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago.
8 weeks ago.
And then 6 weeks later, after he recuses himself from a civil case, he has no problem signing a search warrant in a criminal matter against the same parties.
That's a clear conflict of interest, and just further goes to the root of the problem of what we're seeing with all of this. You know, so many people in this country have lost faith and trust in these systems, in the Department of Justice, these institutions that literally exist to serve the American people, and just the level of corruption, the increasing weaponization of, you know, whether it's Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, the IRS, to go after political opponents in broad daylight is just shocking and incredibly dangerous.
And then on top of this, and you tweeted about this, you said our democracy is in grave danger, government institutions, and you say DOJ, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, the IRS, are blatantly being weaponized. Now, literally, they are blatantly being weaponized. So, and I think this is important for people to understand in our audience, but Tulsi, you've talked about this, and you were concerned about this when you're Congress. The Congress has passed legislation that adds 87,000 IRS agents to the IRS, an institution that I sued on behalf of conservative organizations who were being unlawfully and illegally targeted by the IRS, and a court agreed with us, and the agency was forced to change its ways. Now, that was the whole Lois Lerner matter. We now put it on fast forward. They're basically doubling the number of agents, and then they said, and I want to get the language exactly right because I want the Congresswoman to respond to this, that a major duty of the special agents now, and this is in their publication, Tulsi, is to carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force if necessary. That's as part of their job responsibilities for a criminal tax case, which is what they would be involved in. So this is why the American people are really getting nervous.
Absolutely. This is government out of control. And again, when you look at it on its face, you got to wonder, like, well, why does the IRS need armed agents to conduct their business? We have many other federal law enforcement agencies who are trained and capable of being able to go after criminals, period. The IRS isn't even doing a very good job at their most basic responsibility. Why they're trying to get into, or why they are deeply into this law enforcement function should be concerning. But then you take it to the next step, and then you look at, as you mentioned, how this entity, the IRS, is going after political opponents. And then you add the force of the gun behind that. This is not, and this is why I said in my tweet, democracy is in grave danger, because this sort of thing is what we expect to see from, you know, authoritarian governments, dictatorships who openly turn these entities into their goon squad, their mercenaries, to go after people who dare to dissent, people who dare to challenge them. And how we are seeing this now happening before our very eyes in the United States of America, which is celebrated, you know, around the world as this example of democracy. Well, it's not. It's not.
So, you know, I always like to give people hope too, and that is, we do live in the greatest country in the world, but our constitutional republic, as Tulsi just said, is in danger. I want to ask you about this because when you see this happening, it's so obviously political, and you had a very interesting tweet that you said, regardless of how you feel about former President Trump, this FBI raid throws fuel on the fire of distrust. And, of course, that's a dangerous precedent. I think we've reached a point, Tulsi, where the distrust level is palpable. And then this judge adds more fuel to that fire the judge that recuses himself in a civil case involving Trump and then signs a search warrant in a criminal case just adds to this. But how do we restore hope for the American people?
And you're right. There is hope, and the hope lies in the hands of the American people. We cannot live in a fantasy that somehow these corrupt politicians are going to police themselves or willingly give up their power. They won't. That's been proven time and time again. So it's in our hands, and we talk about democracy and how we have to exercise our voices in throwing out these leaders who are corrupt, using our voices, exercising our rights to free speech, our right to peacefully protest, and don't let them off the hook. We have to continue to hold them accountable. You and your team do such tremendous work throughout the legal system in making that happen through your show and in other means. Every one of us has to do our part if we hope to make things better. It's something I experienced when I was running for president. As I was traveling around the country, I met great Americans every single day from across the political spectrum who love America and who want us to see a brighter future. We have to stand together now, all of us. We have to stand together and make that happen.
We appreciate it. Former member of Congress, Tulsi Gabbard, brilliant analysis, and also did a tremendous service to our country. And you continue to do that in the military, which we appreciate. Thanks for being with us, as always. It was good talking to you.